There's Tom Christensen, Dindo Capello, Guy Smith. That number 7 Bentley has been fast, and that's why they claimed that pole position. David, Bill, how do you see this one playing out? Such a long race, such a grueling race. Can Bentley do it?
Well, I think that Bill said at the top of the show there, you know, that Bentley, the car is slightly more complex. It's a closed car. We had very heavy rain this morning. If it rains, it certainly won't. There's Jackie Hicks, the 6-time winner of the Le Mans 24-hour race, the only man to have won it 6 times. Looking on actually, his daughter's in this race today.
That's right, Vanina Hicks racing in the T2M Motorsports Porsche, and there it is right there. Here's our storylines overall. Bill, talk us through.
Well, I think one of the things, obviously, is the Bentley fuel mileage, because they run the 4-liter motor as opposed to the Audi smaller engine. And the tire wear, they're going to get a little bit heavier tire wear because under the GTP regulations, they have to run a slightly narrower tire. And even though the circuit of Le Mans is not particularly abrasive, it will pay in the long run. Okay, let's take a look at the storylines for 675. And the pole sitter for that class, we heard from Dave Price, team manager. It is Kasper Elgaard, Hayanari Shimoda, and the very experienced John Nielsen. The storylines, who will survive? That's always a key one.
Well, I'm afraid that is a big problem with these cars, because they all have 4-cylinder turbocharged engines, or thereabouts. They have, some have got 8 cylinders, but they're all a little bit on the fragile side.
GTS pole sitter, and they did a wonderful job. The Ferrari, the Velox Pro Drive Ferrari, we heard from Peter Cox earlier, they are blindingly fast, as they were last year. But the key question for the Ferraris, will they last?
Yeah, I think that is the big point right now. Corvette really have solved their reliability problems. They're so good. They do not have the straight line speed of the Ferrari. The Ferrari is right now a superior motor, and they're both 427 cubic inch engines. So the multi-valve head of the Ferrari does help them in straight line speed, but the Corvette just lasts.
One of our storylines in the GT class is an all-American battle between Kevin Buckler's Racers Group Porsche and the combined Alex Job Racing Peterson Motorsports White Lightning entry. They are going head-to-head. They do it in the American Le Mans Series, and they will do it here. Look, they form up. They are coming around onto the main straight.
Pace car going very, very slowly here to make sure they cross that line at dead on 4 o'clock.
For the 71st time, we say the Le Mans 24-hour is underway. Dr. Don Panos waves the flag, and Dindo Capello roars up the main straight.
Making a great start there in the number 7 car, which was already on the pole, but there was some adjusting position. They went out of camera around the beginning of the Dunlop curve. Everybody getting away to start cleanly. There you see a couple of Salines side by side. They come up to turn 1.
This is where they settle in. You cannot afford to do anything foolish here. But if you're going for the outright victory, you do not want these Bentleys to scoot away. This is on board the Dome Mugen Kondo Racing. Qualified a little further down in the order. And veteran Hugh Chamberlain looking after them. And in fact, correction on that onboard. We do have an onboard on with the Kondo Racing. That was the Go Audi Sport of Japan. Jan Magnussen in that car. And they should be one of the contenders.
I think he's going to be a lot of fun to watch, too. Jan always had a great time driving the paint.
We are back, and it is the 2 Bentleys that are up front, and Dindo Capello in the number 7 leading the way. Johnny Herbert in the number 8 Bentley, second. Jan Lammers in the Dome Racing for Holland Judd has made a very strong start, and that car seems to have a lot of speed, boys.
Well, we got 1 lap down, 8.5 miles, and about 3,200 miles to go. So settle in for a long day for everybody, the drivers and everybody concerned. So very early on, the Dome Judd, as you were saying, making a terrific break there, lying 3rd spot behind these 2 Bentleys. Now the Bentleys, you know, are going to make more fuel stops, as Bill pointed out earlier, and more tyre stops, almost certainly. So they need to, on every one of their stints, which are relatively short, only about 13 laps, they really need to pull out a big gap between them and the Audis to make up for that stop.
I see a gap also developing here between 2nd and 3rd place, and I wonder how long Magnussen is going to be content riding there in 4th behind the Dome. He doesn't want the Bentleys to get too far away, because then they've got the luxury of making up that extra fuel stop.
I can't believe that the Audi is not slightly quicker than the Dome, but the Dome is very sleek. Very, very sleek. The Corvette number 50 going to the pit.
That's the Oliver Gavin, Kelly Collins, Andy Pilgrim entry. Corvette Racing, and this is very uncharacteristic.
come back to you with that story.
The Bentleys are getting nice and close, and look how far up through the field they're already coming. They've just passed the 4th place GTS car of Luc Alphonse, and they're about to come up on Ron Fellows, so they are scything their way through this field already. They're coming up on that Courage that just came into pit lane. And Johnny Herbert is right there with the sister car.
And of course, this is one of those things in this long race. You've got to really keep a cool head. Don't go jumping over those curves. Do damage to the undertray of the car. And of course, just keep an eye open like a hawk for the slower traffic.
Yeah, it was interesting earlier this week watching through the practice sessions. Martin Haven actually was one that discovered it, that Bentley had gone through a number of nose boxes and undertrays on the cars by the drivers jumping over the curves. And speaking to all of the fellows, when you lose any part of that undertray, it is so critical to keep the airflow under the car completely under control that you can lose a phenomenal amount of downforce on the car and makes them slower in a straight line as well as losing downforce. So that could throw your race away in a hurry if you bounce over the curbs too often.
We ride with Jan Magnussen, the Audi Sport Japan Team Go entry, just past one of the Corvettes. It looked like the 50 car. And Magnussen, in his something like 4 starts here at the 24-hour, the best he has come up with is 9th. This is his best opportunity. This is the Norma Ford, car 21 in pit lane in. Dindo Capello. Andrew.
Yes, it is in, and I think this is just fuel. It's going in at 7 litres a second. That's much slower than in the Grand Prix car. The windscreen is being actually cleaned. They will watch for the fuel to come up the vent bottle. Unlike the Audi, they do not have the special light which tells them when it is full. And this stop, 22 seconds at the moment, giving it absolutely full fuel. They have tyres that are ready, but I don't think they're going to change them. I know they... And that stop was 28.5 seconds.
Well, there you see what happened last year.
And here we go, while we speak, they're in.
10 to 12, 14 laps. The best lap for Bentley last year was 10 laps. Well, this is already lap 12 for the number 7 car. We're assuming this will be a short stint, or they may have done his stint off the data provided by the 8 car when it did come in early.
Yeah, part of the data they can use, their restrictors have been cut down on all the cars this year. And even though this is a larger motor, the restrictor size is the same as what was used by the R8 Audis last year, so they do have some data to go on.
Yes, the Bentley has stopped the car, which was in the lead by just over 30 seconds. As you thought, fuel is going in, did that extra lap just so they've got them on slightly different strategies, and that is complete. But that pit stop was 29 seconds, exactly the same within half a second of the previous stop. So this team is already well rehearsed and doing a great job.
Same as the number 8 car too, did not take tyres, fuel only.
It's something interesting I'm already seeing is that who our mileage leader at Sebring was, and that was the champion ADT car, and they once again are the mileage leaders here. They are continuing on as Magnussen is now making his stop.
Brian?
Well, it's a routine stop for the number 5 Audi. They will not do a driver change. We've seen several other teams on pit lane elect to do driver change on the first 3 stops. They're going to rotate their drivers through. It's just going to be fuel here for the number 5 Audi. They'll get him back out.
And it was the one time we had a chance to relax, one has to say, although it was a bit of a frightening relaxation.
Problems here, problems for Frank Bieler. The Audi Sport UK car is in trouble for some reason. He's running out of fuel.
Low on fuel is my guess. Look at him.
If he is, he's down. He hasn't got to Indianapolis yet. He's only about 3 miles to go.
Big trouble. He won't make it.
Bieler is currently 4th in this race and could be stranded out on the circuit.
If it is fuel, it's diabolical judgment by somebody, isn't it?
Yeah.
What? That's a big mistake.
I hope it's not my dear old mate Mike Earl who's involved with this judgment.
Well, I think it probably is.
I know it definitely is.
Brian, what do you have for us?
Well, champion car is in. The drivers will stay in. It'll be fuel only. They are looking under the front, simply checking the tires, making sure everything was good. They will double stint these tires. They'll fuel only. You saw the Michelin engineer do a pyrometer check on the tires. He gave a thumbs up, so they will not be changing tires this time. This should be a quick one, and they should be back out. But I don't think they got the fuel mileage they got the first time.
Oh, you are looking at Frank Bieler, 3 times and defending winner of this race. Stranded out on the circuit. We suspect that he has run low on fuel and may have been just trying to push that envelope, that window just a little too far.
This is the problem. And these guys know that the best way to beat the Bentley is put pressure on them by doing the extra laps on fuel. and somebody has misjudged, and I can't believe why, with all the technology we have these days, that they should have known that the fuel was streaming out of that tank, and there wasn't any left.
Well, that's it.
That seems incredible to me.
It does. I mean, desperately bad judgment, because obviously the champion car has got round and got in.
Yeah, they
And
just
that
went
car-
15 laps on that stick.
Well,
They did
are
14 in the first.
Yeah.
If that's what's happened to him, but the way he was
Assuming it
shaking
has,
that
yeah.
car around had that look of,
Yeah.
where's that
the
last
extra
drop of
bit?
fuel?
To start with, I thought maybe he's trying to sort the suspension, find out what feels funny at the front of the car, but he wouldn't have stopped if it was just a suspension failure.
This is Walter Braun in the Conrad Motorsports Saleen, currently sitting in the top 5 in class and 22nd overall. Now Biela's got the car going again.
I don't think so. The headlights aren't on. So what's going on here? Is he?
Well, the engine's got it moving.
It's going, but
I bet he wished he hadn't pulled right
Starter
off
motor,
now.
maybe?
He can't be on the starter motor.
God,
Yeah,
he's
it's
got
too far to come on there.
he
Well-
could be on the starter, couldn't he?
Why not? I mean,
Well, that's
He's
what
right on the apex of that, very, very fast. There's some flag marshals upstream, which show he should be okay.
Which to me is one of the most frightening corners on the track,
Yeah.
diving into that corner, isn't it?
I tell you, if he is doing that on the starter motor, that will be, there is a word for it in English we won't use right now.
yeah, and you know, look at those cars going by. The 180 miles an hour.
Yeah, he's going to have a horrific run back. This is the trouble. You can't believe how slow it is until you're sitting there actually doing it. And you look in the mirror and, whoa, what was that? And he's got to come all the way up
man.
into the Porsche curves.
Oh,
I can't believe he's going to do it.
I wonder if maybe one of our fellows can get down to their pit and chat to see if he's saying anything on the radio.
He's got about 3 miles to
No,
go.
it's
he can't
impossible.
make it. He can't make it.
Wonder if it's an
Starter motor won't last
electrical.
that
He's got to go uphill at Porsche curves too.
Wonder if it's an electrical problem, guys. The light, occasionally you see the headlights flicker on. So it may not be fuel. We will get that confirmed. So Biela, oh, this is cruel. Combined, and Biela's out of the car again. He tried so hard to limp back around to the pits, but couldn't quite make it.
He must be so sick. I was talking to him just before the race. He's actually trying to fix something.
Yeah, he's going to plug his radio back in so he can talk
so
to
he
the
can
pit.
talk to the pit. Well, yeah, absolutely, Bill. But he was really nervous before the start. I mean, you know, which is quite natural. I mean, he was the starting driver, whereas the other drivers I was with weren't starting.
Brian, tell us more about the Audi UK car.
Well, it's hard breakdown here, guys. You're right. They're trying to get it back on the starter motor, and that's a long way to drive on a starter. He is out of fuel. There is some speculation. I have heard that he missed pit in last time by, and once you miss the pits here, you got 8.6 miles to get back around to get in. Another story was, no, he didn't miss the pits. We told him to try to stretch it for another lap. I don't know who's going to take the blame for this one, but he ends up the same way. He's still out of gas, and he's got a long way
It
to
is
go.
pit stop summary, and it outlines how many stops, the average laps. Now, the number 8 Bentley, David Brabham, that's a little bit misrepresented because he's had one extra stop, that little awkward thing where he came on in, but have a look how efficient that number 6 Audi is. And perhaps at 11.3 laps, that's not exactly representative of how good that champion Audi is either. They go longer than that.
Well, of course,
Yeah.
they had the puncture, didn't they?
Yeah.
Or assumed puncture.
Yeah, I think if we hadn't had that puncture thrown in there, remember they went
Here we
14
go.
laps.
Look at this on the inside. David Brabham, Marco Werner, race for second. Brabham puts it right on the inside, and Werner doesn't want to have anything to do with it.
And traffic is looming.
Brabham through, pushes his way through on the inside.
Let's see if Werner fights back now. I wonder, because Werner last year, I mean, everybody talked about his Sebring. This is
No, blown it.
Boy, oh boy, did he pick the wrong side of the road there.
Yeah. Well, what you can't believe sitting here, and I guess you've driven around, is it's a totally blind brow.
It's very
and you
blind
actually
there, yeah.
cannot see until you actually get down to the turning in point. Not at all easy for him.
And see how cautious David is right there, getting around the Ferrari.
Well,
He
he-
didn't stick it down the inside.
I don't blame him.
No, I don't
Good
blame
move.
you. You just have to remember, here we go again. Let's watch Ferrari, of course, is thinking, I'll give him some room, and suddenly Brabham's gone the other way. He went and pulled over to let David by on the inside, but Brabham already committed
But the
to the out.
Ferrari pulled right across the bows of the Audi there, could have easily collected on
Oh,
the way
yeah.
across the road. Back in 1991, 92, 92. There you go. I knew it was one of you.
Well, and right now, the car on our screen, that ADT champion car, is the fastest car on the track. Emanuele Pirro gets in the car, is running 3-minute, 39-second laps. He is 3 seconds a lap quicker than the leading Bentley. So that's what I thought. He's a fireball. I love watching this fella.
And this is what we saw at the 12 Hours of Sebring, wasn't it? Emanuele absolutely ran the neck of this car all day long.
He's just such a gifted driver. And, you know, for some of the viewers that may not know exactly what happened at Sebring, it looked like how Champion lost the race. There was a pit stop when Pirro was getting back in the car. I believe it was J.J. Leto getting out, and they didn't get his seat insert into the right spot, which means that piece that is form-fit to his back was out by an inch or two. So instead of having a nice soft seat to sit in, he had something jabbing him right in the kidney. And about halfway through the shift, he radioed the crew chief and said he had lost feeling in both legs. He toughed it out as long as possible. You know yourself how tough it is to drive a bad rental car with a seat that's uncomfortable. Think about a race car. It's remarkable that he did it, but that cost Champion one extra stop, and that was their bad luck at Sebring.
Emanuele Pirro currently sits 4th in this race and pushing that Champion Audi as hard as he can. There is Frank Freon. He hopes this is going to be his 3rd win with Corvette.
Bentley has been steeped in racing back to the 1920s. It's been very important for us in terms of development of the brand, in terms of reconnecting the future, the racing as it is currently, to bring that story up to date and to make sure that racing is a very important part of the brand.
The company philosophy, you talk about the 5 pillars at Bentley: racing, driving, craftsmanship, design and power. I notice racing's first, that's most important. Let me throw something at you. If you win here today, will we see you race some more?
Listen, it's hard for me to comment on that. I think the key thing we need to do is see how we perform here. There's still a long way to go. I couldn't tell you that there are any decisions made on that. We would just hope very much that we'll be able to maintain a presence in racing in some stage.
Some problems here for the 12 JML Panos. We were just saying how well things were going. This is the first glitch, first chink in the armour that we have seen today with this car. And word from the pits is that they are doing a headlight change. Some problems arising there. There's David Salins, the Belgian, on board. He's been going very well today, running strong. Looks like he is about to exit.
Well, that's one thing about these modern cars, you know, if you want to change your headlights, you just change the whole nose piece, and the whole thing's done really in seconds. And you get a nice new set of headlights, and all the glasses aren't scratched and marked, and it really is so quick. And they're obviously pretty bright.
Seeing as it's Crewe, where all the metal in the country comes from.
No doubt Derek Bell specifying that they have. Now there's the class leader.
That's the Intersport car.
And there he is right there, locking up the rear brakes, going up.
Spinning down at Mulsanne, I think.
Unbelievable. This really is the class that nobody wants to win. As we see that car getting rescued, Derek, earlier, Bill and David shared with us some of their thoughts of racing here at Le Mans at night time. You've won this event 5 times. What's your worst or best memory?
Well, I think the best memory is it is fantastic being out there at night. When it gets dark, not right this minute, but when it gets dark, 3 o'clock in the morning, it's absolutely incredible. There's sort of a loneliness, and you sit there with this glow in front of you, and the high speed and just the purr of the engine, and just being on your own. It's a very strange sort of feeling that you don't get in anything else in life. But I must say, during the night, it's not too bad. You don't like it, you two, then?
No, I thought your worst memory was going to be something about when you finished second, and I was going to reach over and punch you.
And just like every other race, all the other 70, it has been a tough one. The attrition rate has been high, and we will go through that later. This is the overall standings, Bill Adam, and who can catch those Bentleys?
Well, right now it doesn't look like anybody can, because they continue to run virtually a flawless race. The drivers are all very, very disciplined. They're running remarkably consistent lap times in the pit crew. Whoa.
The secret to Ferrari's success in the GTS class is their overall track speed. The deficit, of course, means that uses more fuel, but this ProDrive Maranello team are so well drilled that they are barely losing any time at all in the pits. Those 2 red cars have been first and second almost since the get-go, and that's where they intend to stay.
The first problem we have seen for the Audi Sport Japan Team Go entry, Brian.
Disappointing down here. This car has run flawlessly all day long. They did have a problem with the nose earlier, and the car is pulled into the garage front first, so we can't really see what's going on, but I did see them remove what I would call the front porch, or the under tray underneath the nose in the front. Whether that was damaged in the earlier curb banging accident, we don't know, but you got to understand these prototypes, they're flat bottomed all the way back to the center line of the rear wheels, and if anything gets destroyed or damaged underneath that, it'll eventually wear on the ground and create a hole, and they lose downforce and the ability to control these cars, so eventually it has to be changed, and that looks like what may have happened here. They've had to change that front under tray, and that's a time-consuming deal, and that's going to take certainly a lot of time and a lot of hope away from this number 5 Audi.
Will, you've driven these R8s in testing conditions. I know it's difficult from our camera angle. What do you make of that?
I think Brian could be right, because if the under tray has been damaged, the R8 is a very pitch-sensitive car. That means that the ride height on the car, on the front compared to the rear, is very, very carefully monitored. Now, if that under tray is damaged, it's allowing more air under the front end, you're really going to change the pitch, and it could be just a violent car.
I might be doing a double step to see how things go.
You guys have any problems other than the door latch?
Well, we had a little bit of a problem right at the beginning of the race with a throttle problem. We do have this little problem with the door latch and a couple of other little niggly things, but nothing major, nothing that's going to stop the car from running. So we're pretty happy, pretty confident, and we're just going to keep plugging away.
The door just takes lots of racer's tape, but they'll get that taken care of. Andrew?
Yes, I'm down here. I'm down here with Bentley number 7, and they're just refueling this. I think that is all they are going to do. One mechanic is at the back with a large torch just shining at the back of the car, just a visible check, I should say there, and they're just so calm and collected. And that was another very quick stop, under 45 seconds.
Dindo Capello in and out very quickly, but what about the sister car? Johnny Herbert has been flying.
Johnny really has been. He's been just doing remarkable times, but something I just saw right there, quite incredible. On that pit stop, the fellow who's cleaning the windshield.
Wasn't that great?
Fantastic. I mean, they've got this choreographed down to the nth degree. You saw him spraying the windshield as fast as he could with the right hand, starting to polish with the left, and after he finished using up the can, he flung it over to his left, and right there was the guy waiting for us, like a quarterback thrown to a wide receiver.
And then he does that double-handed wipe, and of course it is,
that was
you know, it's essential for these guys in these closed cars that those windscreens are kept clear, because once they start to gunge up, I mean, it gets very tricky. And we have had a cloudy morning, but if this low line cloud, if it should burn off, and the sun comes up at this time, it's very tricky going up over the Dunlop curve in places like that.
Oh, you figure that windshield's got to be really pitted after running through the night, too. So
it will be, yeah.
The visibility will be pretty scratchy.
Older Johnny Herbert, the 8 car, has been cranking off lap times between 3:35 and 37 to 35, would have put him second or third on the grid.
That was their qualifying time, yeah.
So, obviously cranking him out. The Audi with number 6 out. No, he just had a pit stop. The Audi with Piero behind the wheel doing a 3:45, so nearly 10 seconds lap.
Yeah. While we watch the Bentley on track, the lead car, let's update you on some of the other positions. We know that it's Bentley, Audi, and then it's the second Audi. It is the Team Go Audi. Seiji Ara still behind the wheel. The Judd Dome, Jan Lammers is 5th. The Panos with Max Pappas on board is 6th. And let's just make a correction there, because last night we broadcast something that was actually incorrect. Max Pappas will be joining the PK Champ Car team, not the PK Sports Car team. So, and we will try and talk to Max a little later. We apologize for that. Welcome back. The Michelin 24 Hours of Le Mans continues. This just happened moments ago. Gunnar Jeanette on board the number 11 Panos. This is down at Arnage, and he has gone straight on into the tire barrier.
Look at the trailer rubber. You can see he's locked the tires up and just got it way too deep under braking.
While he was lapping that car, and I guess he just lost concentration and, of course, got out onto the marbles.
Wow.
Which is what I was just saying like a few minutes ago. And that's pretty much, I think, what happened here when you see him come into the Indianapolis. They're doing 185 mile an hour on the approach, and he's as you said,
way out.
Way out.
Completely missed the apex there.
Well, I think he must have had something go wrong first, so he would never be that far off the apex. I wonder if the left front tyre had gone down a bit, and they wouldn't have sensors on that car, and took him out wide.
Yeah, I thought I saw a little bit of smoke off that right rear tire, but that could be just sort of a last-minute deal where he realized, oh, he's in a lot of trouble. He better jump on the brakes and do what he can.
It seems hard to believe it to be that far offline, but he certainly was.
And you know, that mistake by Gunnar Jeanette was fairly costly, because this car, Jan Lammer's car, was the 5th place car. Jeanette was 6th, so he really needed to capitalize on that. We'll keep you updated on how that pans out.
The tyre is down, and I just suspect that tyre was down before he got there.
Yep. This is very similar to the Riley and Scott, isn't it?
Yeah,
with that rear left.
He was so wide going in there. I can't believe he'd be that far out.
Let's see if he does similar damage.
Oh, there's the sister car going by. All that gravel is more of a hazard to other cars coming through. So one of those Bentleys could still pick up a big chunk of gravel and jigger the tyre.
We'll be back a little later in the day. This is how it sits overall standings, with just a shade over 6 hours to go. Yes, we are getting very, very close. And that number 7 Bentley has been flawless. Unbelievable. The champion Audi still sits 3rd. The Japan Audi still sits 4th. And then it's the Dome and the Panos. Yes, we still have one up there. Jeanette, Beretta and Pappas. And it just keeps on pounding around. We've been talking a lot about GTS. This is how it sits. It's still Ferrari, Corvette, but there is a huge margin in terms of laps between the Ferrari and the number 50 Corvette, which is still stationary in its box. We have word that the one of the Panos cars has just left the circuit. We will find out more about that. The GTS leading car is in pit lane and has just left pit lane. Word is it was the number 12 Panos, that is the Scott Maxwell, David Salins, Ben Leuenberger car that ran off the circuit. Here's the replay. And it looks like David Salins in the car.
Has he got a puncture? The way the car's bouncing around, I wonder if his right rear's flat.
Yeah,
it is, isn't it? Look at it. It looks awfully low.
And that has run straight on. Brian Till.
Well, I guess my final thoughts, Lee, would be that I'm surprised by the Bentleys and the Audis. I thought the fuel mileage of the Audis would catch up to the Bentleys, and it hasn't. Of course, I'm surprised by GTS because I really thought the Ferraris had something, or that the Corvettes, I should say, had something for the Ferraris. I thought the Ferraris would be fast, but I didn't think they could keep the pace up in the race. But why should I be surprised? It is Le Mans, and anything can happen.
They went wild. They're not happy with the Frankie Dor Ferrari.
Yeah, and I saw Gunnar Jeanette taking a really good run there at Gunan. In fact, he's back by. Good job, Gunnar.
Oh, someone has gone off big style. The Racing for Holland.
But jeez, not again.
Same position.
Same
position, different car.
Holy jeez. Whoa. That's 175. Oh, lifting.
Oh, it's that tyre barrier, big time.
Good Lord.
That is young French driver Tristan Gomendi, and he is very, very lucky, to say the least.
Yeah, and I think he's going to shed pieces around the track. This may create a pace car incident if he sheds too many pieces.
When we were saying same position, different car, the team principal, Jan Lammers, went off earlier today with a flat rear left. It spun him sideways, just a little wider through Indianapolis there, and he came to the near side gravel trap. Gomendy's crash then was a lot more spectacular.
I'm amazed that that car is still moving.
I'm not sure whether Gomendi lost it or whether he had a flat tyre first. He's certainly got a flat tyre now, but he's going awfully fast with that damage. Seems to be okay.
You know what? He was holding it in awfully tight there, though, David, and that impact would certainly flatten the tyre.
I'll say.
Ooh,
and this one,
boy, oh boy.
And this one definitely would.
Yeah, that would flatten. Well,
ooh. He's going awfully fast. It's spraying fluid out on the left side, and that left rear tire is going to come apart any minute.
Well, of course, there's nothing for it to hit other than another competitor.
There's no bodywork that can get torn up.
He's doing pretty well.
Here he is. Now, see it. He looks like he was pinching the car in pretty tight right there at the end. But I'm glad this is more of a glancing blow. You see his helmet really didn't move very much there. But this one, look at his helmet hit the left-hand door.
Escape road.
Look at him leaning forward in the car. This is when you know it's coming, and it's the longest ride in the world.
A friend of mine stays in a farmhouse that's right at the end of that little escape road, and it says it's absolutely the best view in town. You get an infield pass as a resident, a weekend resident, and you can just go down to look at the inside of Indianapolis there. Sounds like a great way to spend the weekend.
Except every once in a while you get awakened by this almighty thump.
Yeah, on the front door.
Yeah.
The car chasing Gunnar Jeanette in the Panos is the Courage competition. Yves Courage will be delighted with this run from this car. Jonathan Cochet, Stefan Gregoire, and Jean-Marc Gounon, an all-French team. It is Gounon in the car, former Mercedes factory driver, had a stint in that marvelous V12 LMR as well. The XF1 driver battling for a top 5 position, but it's Florida's Gunnar Jeanette holding him at bay.
I tell you what, another guy that's watching the scoreboard like a hawk's got to be Jan Lammers' team, because they are a mere 43 seconds behind this little race. And to be racing this hard, this close to the end, obviously has a certain element of risk attached. So no doubt old Lammers will say, yeah, you go to it, lads, and either blow each other up or take each other off, and he'll at least salvage something out of the day. His second car, having had that crash there, just with, boy, 40 minutes to go. That is awful.
That was a pretty impressive display of power there out of that Elan power plant in the Panos. He came off that last chicane and really pulled out strongly. But in here, yeah, he's closed up a lot right in through here.
Saying, yeah, I know, I won't panic. I'm not going to make any mistakes.
Go. Stalled it.
Did he stall it?
I think so, yep. I heard it refire again.
It's gone. It's going now.
But
boy, this is gonna
he's
be
pretty
close.
close.
Yeah. Jeanette will get out in front of Jean-Marc Gounon, but then we could see these guys together. Gounon is already on the front straight. Here comes Jean-Marc.
It's going to be really close.
And there is the Panos.
I think Gounon's going to get him. He's got too much momentum going.
Oh, come on, Gunnar.
This is Formula One style stuff. Gounon,
How
he
wide
should
can
sweep
you make
around
it?
the outside. Gunner's going to make it very difficult. We know that Gounon can be impatient. Let's have a look.
Ooh.
Fantastic.
Boy, now that was close.
Now, why can't Formula One learn to have races like this?
Now he does it again, Jean-Marc Gounon, same corner. Exactly the same style.
I think Formula One does have races like this. It has a race exactly like that with the pit stop and the drama of coming out. I mean, that
Yeah, but the difference is
very tight.
there's a difference that we have passing in these races. Remember, Gunnar came up and passed Gounon to take this position.
True. And he has defended very well and driven away from Gounon. So, what, 15 minutes to go?
This will do tremendous things for Gunnar's self-confidence if he's able to hold on and drive without mistakes through this final 15 minutes. He's looking good in the car. He looks very smooth. He's controlling all that power going down.
Now don't forget, Le Mans regulations specify no tyre warmers, so you know Gunnar's going out here on stone cold tyres.
No, they didn't change. I think they're still on the same
Yeah,
car.
they just went fuel only, didn't they?
Oh, they didn't change. That's
No,
right.
just
You're right,
fuel
you're
only.
right.
Let's update you on who's sitting where with 15 minutes to go. Of course, it's Bentley, Smith, Dindo, Capello, and Christensen leading the way. Then it's Johansson in the champion Audi. The Team Go Audi of Seiji Ara is behind the wheel. Then it's Gunnar Jeanette in this battle here with Jean-Marc Gounon. Then it's Andy Wallace in the Dome Judd-powered Racing for Holland entry. Some Courage is in there, and the Ferrari of Jamie Davies rounding out the top 10 just ahead of the two Corvettes. In GT class, it is still the Job Peterson Porsche, Emmanuel Collard, Lucas Lewis, Sasha Masson, the competitors we see in the American Le Mans Series. 14th outright, top in class, and still running second in GT. It's the Orbit Racing Porsche, Leo Hendry, Mark Lieb, and Peter Barron doing a stunning towards the last one. But getting back to Bentley, 73 years since the original Bentley boys won. They formed the new Bentley boys, and everyone comes across out of the garages onto the wall. This is Le Mans tradition, and there's Peter Cox, the rest of the Velox Pro Drive team coming over. This is where celebration time begins.
And all of those cars lining up behind the Bentley, the number 7 Bentley, all wanting to be in that picture that's going to go around the world on all the wire services. But I don't see the sign of the other Bentley.
No, and Gunan is right now being shown as 7.5 seconds back of Gunnar Jeanette. But again, what happens if they happen to catch this parking lot?
Yeah, Emanuele Pirro there in the champion Audi, and it looks like Seijiara is right behind as well in the Team Go Audi Sport Japan entry. The Velox Pro Drive team. Here come the Bentley team. Where is Tom? Tom Christensen will be right on that wall, waving at Guy Smith and congratulating him. Dindo Capello will be right there with him as well. What a trio and what a victory this has been.
What do you think, David? Should we go down on the wall and start cheering with them?
I think we should do. We'll cheer them up here. Now, this is one of the Guy Smith wants to be a bit careful about, all this slow-moving traffic, all jostling around to keep him in the picture.
Well, I think the Bentley wants to get by to get a clear photograph so nobody is blocking the view of it.
Yeah. Well, you got two of your class winners there, LMP 900/GTP and the GTS class winner also. They're on their way home, folks. The final lap of the 2003 Michelin 24 Hours of Le Mans. It has been an interesting one of that. Some of the big boys crumbled early on. We did not have all that many caution periods, and now exiting Arnage, Guy Smith is on the way home, heading back towards the pit, the paddock, the central arena, the grandstands, and these hundreds of thousands of people that have been here all weekend. This front stretch, the grandstands are packed, the British fans are packed in there more than anybody else, and they will celebrate. Bentley is back at Le Mans.
You can hear them already.
There you see the clock, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second to 4 o'clock. Checkered flag is now out. The last of the Porsche curves, where we saw quite a bit of action. Here we come down to the multiple Ford chicane now, been reprofiled.
Oh boy.
There you see the Bentley crowd waiting for their star driver. No sign of the 8 car, which I am a bit surprised at.
Tom Christensen is king today.
He is.
Wow.
Tom Christensen is going to be king for a long time. It's going to be a long time before anybody else wins 4 of these races in a row, and a long time before anybody else wins 5.
Here we are, coming onto the main straight. Guy Smith brings it home. The Bentley boys do it at Le Mans in 2003. Sensational stuff. Tom Christensen gets 4 consecutive victories. Bentley's first since Wolf Bernardo in 1930. Amazing scenes here at Circuit de la Sarthe. And Tom Christensen now has 5 Le Mans wins. That Bentley project, 3 years old and victorious. There's Derek Bell, who's been with us in the booth for quite a time. And Tom hugs him. They now share 5 victories each. The only 2 drivers in history to do it.
There are a lot of tears in that crowd. Just tears of joy. What a great project.
Well, the emotions certainly running very, very high. Those are astounding records to set. The king of endurance races, the Le Mans 24-hour race. And there you see 2 of the kings of it. Tom Christensen and Derek Bell.
The Pro Drive guys, the Velox Pro Drive boys, they will celebrate.